Good morning again to His Excellency, Her Excellencies, honorable guest speakers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. So thank for such a long break. So thank all the participants for your waiting. Now it's come to another presentation. So I would highly like to invite Dr. Abdelrahman and Mr. Feng, the research specialist at Texas A&M University, College Station, USA. And the topic is about the influence of the COVID-19 pandemic on school leadership practices. So our presenters will have 30 minutes for the presentation. So we'd like to give this floor to our presenters. Please welcome, Doctor. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and hi everyone. Thank you for having us today for speaking about our paper. I see our co-authors are here. I see Mr. Hamad Al-Faraji. I think we just need to make him as a co-host as well. And Mr. Shuo Feng and also Ms. Feng Yi. Before speaking about this paper, actually, we started thinking about the paper because of the new normal that the full world have, which is like COVID-19. COVID-19 have a big influence on the world and in schools, and of course in leadership in general. So based on that, we find that there is a different practices happened in the leadership. So that's why we wanted to address these differences in order to see what is the changes happened in the leadership. We will play the recording of our presentation and it will take about 22 minutes, and then we will be happy to have your questions after we finish the playing the recording. Thank you so much.
Hi everyone, my name is Abdelrahman, and I'm presenting today our study, the influence of the COVID-19 pandemic on school leadership practices. I'm presenting today in the behalf of my colleagues, Dr. Beverly, Dr. Rafael, Lara-Alecio, Hamad Al-Faraji, Dr. Fuhui, Tong, Shuo, Feng, and Feng Yi. So in 2020, when COVID-19 hits, the full schools mix it up and down. Everyone doesn't know what to do. Everyone doesn't know how to respond to the changes that happen in the education system. In the beginning of the 2020, with the insufficient information about COVID-19 situation, school leaders were expected to make decisions and also to communicate clear expectation to their teams, teachers, staff, and parents. And this added more complexity to the situation. So, for example, in the United States, all of the 50 states canceled the in-person schools or the in-person school instruction and replaced that with the virtual instruction. So this is change in the instruction platforms and delivery, of course, have also some struggles because not everyone have the same level of knowledge about technology. And in an international study, the scholars have surveyed 1,800 principals across 12 countries. And they found that about 70% of the participants reported that their primary responsibility was the well-being of their students. Of course, this was an extraordinary situation, and the well-being of the students and teachers also important at that moment. So the principals in the United States attempted to provide not only emotional support, and that's what the students need in the first place, but also they also focus on providing students, teachers, and families with physical needs support. Some scholars already identified some practices of leadership during the pandemic or during crisis in general. So these practices like identifying individuals' needs and empowering them, addressing inequality impacting the students who are at promise or economically challenged, building the trust and relationship with the student's family by providing food, resources, and technology knowledge, distributing leadership responsibilities between everyone in the school team, and embracing new opportunities to concentrate on learning. And the last one was fostering the communication with teachers, parents, and other stakeholders. But we find that these are not enough practices. Maybe there are more in the schools. So that's why we prepared our study to see what's going on at schools. And the purpose of our study was identifying what leadership practices that teachers pre-service principals, and I will talk about this in the following slides, who were participating in the principal preparation programs implemented on their campuses in response to COVID-19. For this study in particular, we have a designated participants. Those participants are our cohort for PAL project. And PAL is a principal is preparing academic leaders, grant-based MED program to support teacher leaders from who are serving bilingual students and who are serving students like a high need student population, and who also are willing to serve in schools that have a high EL population. So this cohort includes about 44 students, and those will become our sample. So the theoretical framework for our study, we employed the theory of constraint that developed by Goldratt in 1988. We adopted this theory because it's telling us about the constraints and how we can process it. So there are 5 steps for the theory of constraints. The first is identifying the current constraint, which is COVID for our situation, exploit the constraint, subordinate and synchronize to the constraint, elevate the performance of the constraint, and then repeat the process. So in order to do or conduct our study, we employ the phenomenology as our research method. Why phenomenology? Because phenomenological approach provided us insights into the rich experiences of these teacher leaders, and to gain a deeper understanding of their experience and explore the underlying meaning of the experience of the phenomenon. As I mentioned before, that this group is a cohort for our PAL project, and they are about 44 pre-service principals. We sent out a survey, an open-ended question survey to the 44 and 31 participants participated in our study with a rate of 70%. And then the age of those participants ranging from 30 years old to 55. They came from diverse backgrounds. So we have 5 African American, 21 Hispanic, and Hispanic or Latinx, and we have 5 white teacher leaders. The school stage or the school type they are serving in, most of our participants serve in elementary schools. So we have 24 elementary school teachers, 3 in the middle, and 4 in the high schools. So when we collected data, as I said, it was through an open-ended online survey where we are asking more about what are the practices, what they have done in the schools during the COVID. The data were collected in September 2020, and 3 members of our research team, reviewed the responses. This review have been conducted in 4 stages. The first was making sense of the data set, reading the data set and trying to make sense of it and have an agreement about what the participants mean through their sentences. Second review was identifying the frequency of the keywords. And then the third was using in vivo to build themes. And the last review was developing sub-themes under each main theme. So based on this data analysis, we generated 5 main themes: distributing meals for the students, delivery of learning materials and devices, coordinating online instruction, supporting leadership teams at school and district levels, and the last one is leading professional development. So I will go through each one of them briefly and quickly. So the first one is distributing meals for students. And this is a big one, actually, because before thinking about the schools and learning, we want to make sure our students are secure and they have the food that is needed for their lives. So there were like 4 sub-themes under this main theme. The first one was providing meals to all students at school pickup. So students come to school and pick up the food. Second was providing food to families at their homes. And this is for the students who cannot come to schools because of they are on quarantine, or they do not have a transportation to drive them to pick up the food. So teachers were responsible to deliver the food to them at homes. Supports district initiative of food distribution, and this is also kind of collaboration with the district in order to see what are the initiatives that the district has, and the teachers who are proactive to participate in these initiatives. The last one was developing students program aiding in food distribution, and some of our teachers mentioned that they have already developed a kind and established volunteer program that students feed their colleagues and peers. So they help in distributing the food for their peers. Here is one of the quotes that we noted in our paper about the distributing food from one of the participants. She said, "I took initiative to find out what families in our rural town were struggling, and with the help of local churches, we were able to create a food pantry for families in need. This has become a huge success and continues to this day." And actually, this is very important to quote because we can notice that there is a change in the mindset of leadership. It's not about teaching responsibility, but also about being more responsive to the community and help the community to be secured with food. The second main theme was the delivery of learning materials and devices. And of course, teachers, after they make sure that students have enough food for their to secure them and to secure their lives, they wanted to make sure also they have the materials for learning. So under this, we have 3 sub-themes. Plan for technology distribution. So they make a plan, they sit together online and starting making plan. Distributing the technology packets, this is the implementation of that plan. And then creating of a database of families' technology awareness. This is the third part of the process. They started after planning for the distribution and then distribution of the technology materials. And now they want to know if the parents and families can have the knowledge to help their kids using them. So the teachers created this database to see to what extent or what is the level of knowledge of technology level that parents have. And based on these database, they started providing support to these families by providing them with instruction of how to use technology and also providing them with guidelines. So one of these quotes of the delivery of learning materials and devices from one of our teachers said, I assessed the technology needs of students in the district to distribute devices and hotspots, and participated in the entire process from collecting surveys, sorting data, and distributing of devices. I also created a curriculum for technology application classes in the 7th grade. This is the new elective. So therefore, I have constructed a year at glance and have started writing a curriculum for the first semester so far. So based on that, this is kind of showing us how the teachers are adjusting their learning and their teaching services. The third main theme was a very huge one about coordinating online instruction, how they deliver their classes and lessons. So there were several ways of doing this by establishing online learning portals or creating WhatsApp group or developing online schedules, creating YouTube and record lessons on the district TV, developing guidelines of virtual instructions, adjusting the curriculum, collaborating with the district, and then creating positive virtual learning environment. So the last one was important and very interesting because it shows that now teachers feels that the virtual learning becomes their new normal, and they have to create a positive virtual learning for students and creating a positive virtual learning environment for everyone. And here are some of the codes for this main theme. Like I will read only one of them. I have collaborated with district staff to create an online learning schedule for students during the spring of 2020, and have been working with teachers to develop plans for how to serve EL students in a virtual session. The fourth main theme we have is supporting leadership teams at school and at the district levels. Under this, we have 5 sub-themes. And the teacher leaders at schools, they started showing us how they support the leadership team in their schools with their understanding of the responsibility, the new responsibility they have. So they're setting up leadership committees, administering virtual leadership processes, improving students' performance in the virtual setting, taking over leadership responsibilities, and supporting students and their families. And here is one also of the codes for that theme. I serve it as assistant principals of a pre-K bilingual and ESL district summer school programs in a remote setting. I developed scope and sequence, compiled resources, met with multiple departments and remote services to set up the best possible literacy summer school for our pre-K and kinder students. So the teacher here felt her responsibility to collaborate with people on the district and in the school in order to provide a good virtual experience for the pre-K students during the summer. The last main theme we have is leading professional development during COVID-19. And under this, we have 4 sub-themes. It's all speaking about how the teachers help each other to master the online instruction. Of course, not all teachers have the same level of understanding and knowledge of the online instruction. So this time, the teachers who knows more knowledge, they can help their peers who doesn't have this knowledge. So all of the PDs went through that. So we find that they already developed PD to master the online instruction delivery, leadership practices, and also there is a big part about novice teachers. Novice teachers, they were in a critical situation during the 2020. Why? Because this is the first year of their serving as in-service teachers, and at the same time, the schools are in extraordinary situation with different leadership styles, with different setting. So those teachers needed more support. So that's why all of the teachers in all schools, about like 26 out of our 31 participants, shared that they already made professional development sessions for novice teachers. And also they did joint collaboration with the district. So these are some of the quotes from that related to this main theme. So I will read only one of them to respect your time. I have also trained other teachers in our online platform. We called it Schoology. So these mainly our findings for this study. So in the discussion part, we started like thinking about these practices. Of course, we have new practices that were not mentioned in the literature before that we are adding. And these service principles were exhibiting what Tran noted as a talent-centered leadership in the midst of crisis-centered leadership, where they practiced and were involved in distributed, shared, caring, and communicative leadership. Also, the pre-service principles determined the needs and demonstrated the leadership responses in levels. These levels are noted in figure 1 of the hierarchy crisis need that I'm sharing right now. We developed this hierarchy pyramid mimicking the Maslow hierarchy needs. The first level of our hierarchy was the basic needs. And as you see, like the leadership here shifted not only about like to focus on students' achievement, but also about their basic needs. So in that level, we saw how teachers help in delivering the food for the students to make sure that they are physically secure. The second level was material needs. After the making sure our students have the physical the physical needs, the teachers were concerned and responsible for providing them with the materials they needed for the learning. These materials including the devices like the internet, like tablets or hotspots and all of these things, and also the documents, the electronic documents of their classrooms and classes. The third level was teaching needs, and under this, under this, teachers started helping each other in order to master the new online instruction setting. And this is like how to use scheduling and adjusting curriculum and creating guidelines and positive culture. The fourth level was leader needs, and under this, teachers engage and offer leadership practices to the campus and district leaders with the organization, communication, and the implementation of activities and decision-making. The last and the top need that was met through this pandemic was the growth need. And the growth need was met by providing each other with a professional development sessions about how to master online setting or how to work on the new platforms, and also how to communicate effectively with parents through online. So based on that, we identified that new identified by pre-service. This pyramid was new identified by the pre-service principles for leading during the pandemic. To conclude, we reported leadership practices that pre-service principles implement, and when they could potentially transfer to similar leadership challenges in the future. It is imperative that the faculty of principal preparation programs need to promote the needs for pre-service principals to practice leadership skills and to be prepared for a crisis such as COVID-19, and preparing our students for such kind of crisis. This is our references, and thank you so much for having us today. And if you have questions, please email us on nrahman@tamu.edu. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day.
Yes, thank you so much, Doctor, for playing a very interesting video. So far we've got some questions. So please let me read the question for Doctor. So the first question is from Mr. Jun Setar from Cambodia. And his question is, what are effective online class management during pandemic COVID-19? For example, students did not turn on camera when studying online. So what are the best consequences for disciplinary actions? So I'd like to invite Fanny or Feng Shao or Doctor, please.
Okay, Amada, would you like to answer?
Yes, so the focus of the question here is specifically related to the disciplinary action or disciplinary of some of the students. So this is an issue, with COVID-19, the online learning was an option, and at some point was the only option based on the pandemic. But still it has some challenges. I remember I read the number of people using Zoom moved dramatically up. I remember it was like 200 million or something like that at some point. And during COVID, we were in the United States, and I think that was the case all over the world, to provide sustainable learning for all the students, to be able to reach out to the students and to ensure that first they are safe, like Dr. Abdelrahman was sharing about some priorities based on the Maslow pyramid, and then they are learning. The second issue I would put in order was disciplinary, because we have disciplinary in face-to-face learning, we have disciplinary also in online learning. It needs kind of like protocol, that's my personal suggestions, a protocol of how to use the internet. It also needs a parent or parental involvement and control. When devices were distributed in the United States and when online was learning, there were instructions associated with that to ensure that students are learning and to ensure that the home or their homes are still learning environments suitable for students. But still, there are issues related with disciplinary in the online learning environment that needs kind of collaboration between the schools and between parents at home as well. Dr. Abraham, would you like to add something?
Thank you, Hamada. I think what you said is covering everything we have in this study, but also I just want to say, COVID was like a sudden thing happened to school. So even if the schools are they plan to move from face-to-face to online, there is like a kind of some steps they can do in order to reach that to reach the fully online. But because of COVID, we didn't have this option. It's just like in one day we were in a face-to-face, and then the following day school shut down, and then all students need to learn from home. So it means that with this change, the sudden change happened, of course there will be many challenges. Maybe like as Hamada mentioned, like some people doesn't have the knowledge of technology, but also the availability of the technology resources was a little bit like challenging in the beginning. And I remember like some of the participants shared that some students doesn't have the internet at home, of course. So in order to make sure that the students can have an access to their courses or to the classes, the district started like to have like hotspots in the neighborhoods, like in the zone where the students live. And these hotspots helped them to get an access to the internet. So of course, this also doesn't happen like in the following day after school shut down, but also after they started like addressing what are the problems. And then teacher says like some students doesn't have an access to the internet. Some teachers said like that students doesn't have tablets or like the technology devices, or some teachers says like students have the internet and have the device, but they do not know how to use it. So all of these challenges have to be resolved, but it took time. Of course, like not like long time because teachers working like and the schools worked like day and night to solve all of the problems. But it took time till the students adjust themselves to be in the new virtual platforms.
I say thank you, Dr. Abdelrahman and Dr. Hamada. So maybe I will go to the next question. So the next question is from Mr. Votchan Visna. The question is, what are the negative impacts of COVID-19 on school leadership practices? So maybe Francois or Fanny, you can share some of your idea. Yeah.
Oh, sure. I can share my perspective. And I just want to. Oh, sorry about that. I think definitely one negative impacts, first of all, communication. Being online is not like being in person. You can communicate more clearly, and the communication is really important with teachers and with students as well. And the other thing is kind of intangible. It's the mental health issue. So during the pandemic, we see a higher percentage. I think last month I saw an article in Scientific America that said a 26% in increasing in depression and everything, and it definitely showed in our school teachers. And then from the conversation with school teachers, and I also realized that there are high dropout rates of teachers. A lot of teachers just quit their job, and it's kind of hard to find new teachers. So those are the negative impacts of COVID-19 and school leadership practice. And yeah, and most importantly, the health, the physical health is also very important. So yeah, that's the challenges that we had to face. And I don't have a cure-all answer or solution to that, but definitely just keep being healthy and keep being positive. It's a start. It's just in my opinion.
Mhm. So I just wanted to add some like a small thing to what Shuo added, speak about this negative impact or the negative consequences of COVID on leadership. As you see, like for example, Shuo, he's in mask all of the time. Teachers do the same thing at schools. So even this, sometimes it's uncomfortable to teach on mask or to make sure that all students are on mask if they are in a face-to-face and if they are on the online platform. This is another challenge because I remember one of the teachers says, while I'm teaching the student, like his brother is going behind him or some people going around them, and they sometimes lose the focus on the lesson. So because they are at home and they are like working from like a screen or a camera, so that's why the focus will not be the same as they are in the classroom with their colleagues. This is one thing. The other thing was the overwhelming that the teachers has. Uh, Teachers have to prepare their lessons in two ways. They prepare the lesson for a face-to-face if some students decide to be in school, and also to prepare the same lesson for the virtual platform because some students decide not to come. In the beginning of COVID, of course there was a kind of shutdown for all schools, but after a while schools comes back, but it becomes like an optional. Some students like have the option to come to school, or the parents decide if the parents decide not to send their kids to school, they can have the option of being in a virtual platform. Or if the family, like if one of the member of the family tested positive, the student have to be quarantined and stayed at home. So the teacher have to be prepared and have to prepare the lesson in the two ways, and this is an extra work for teachers. And also it's an extra work for the school because the school have to manage both the online and the face-to-face. So I believe that's more challenges that the schools have because of COVID. Hamada, do you want to add something?
Yes, Dr. Mahamada, would you like to add something or?
So there were, like Dr. Abdelrahman talked about, the challenges that teachers have, the leadership team have. And if we think about some of the challenges that the leadership team have in the face-to-face normal education, and then we think about the online, we would see that there is kind of like duplication for everything. Let me give you an example here. If, for example, it's not easy as one of the leadership practices to have family engagement, especially when it comes to, for example, families from minorities. And in the online virtual environment, it's even harder to get them engaged. When we talk about, for example, equity in education and provide equitable learning opportunities for students in the face-to-face, when it comes to the online, it's even way harder because not all the students, like Dr. Abdelrahman said, have devices. Not all the students have the internet. So there is equitable gap between students, which at the end of the day, leadership team need to shoulder and take the responsibility for closing these gaps. So it's a lot of challenge, like Dr. Abdelrahman said, like to work face-to-face or to prepare lesson planning face-to-face and virtual at the same time. And it was time where everything was not expected, and in such a lack of information, leadership team were expected to make decisions and to make instructional decisions that would affect the learning of the students, which was very hard. Thank you.
Yes, I would like to say thank you so much to Dr. Hamada, Dr. Abdelrahman, and Mr. Feng for a very correct presentation, including the question and answer. It's very useful for all the participants.